Hello everyone and welcome back, and we are live once again with BMRL Network for Cup Series tonight here at International Speedway Daytona, and we're going to go into qualifying as the practice has just ended. It was great. Last two races in the Xfinity and the Cup Series, in the Truck Series, but now we're on here for the Cup Series. It should be nothing less than greater excitement. I have a co-commentator alongside with me, Joe White. How are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good, man. It's going to be a good one here. Daytona, the epicenter of all things motorsports. It starts the season, and man, it's going to be a good one here tonight.
Definitely quite excited for this one to begin it with a bang. The first two races of the other series were definitely absolutely awesome ones to watch. So sure, this one is going to be very great with all these drivers out on the grid, competitiveness and everything on top.
It is, man. I tell you what, you got Donald Ray. He's going to start her out front. I mean, this place here, it gets no better than this here. I mean, you got side-by-side, two-by-two, door-to-door style racing. We're going to probably see a little bit of pit strategy here. It's a long race, so these guys are going to have to manage that pit strategy. And you know what they all saying about plate races? It's not if, it's when the big one's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with all these drivers preparing the best they could for this race, with Don Lad on top alongside Jeff on that front row, then Sean Cross, Morgan Sterling, James Tinder, Corey Denson, Adam Gardner, Austin Hunt, and then Chris Mayo and Stephen Hint completed that top 10.
They did, and it's going to be a good one. We got 15 drivers out here. These guys are going to have to just be a little patient. Hey, it's a good one. Got to appreciate everybody out there tuning in tonight. I'm new to the league here. I know you've done a couple races, so you kind of bear with me on some of these names out here and get familiar with some of the drivers. I know you've gotten familiar with a couple of them out there yourself, but hey, let us know who your favorite driver is out there too, man. Rooting for, pulling for. It's going to be a good one. I like Daytona. I like Talladega.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sure, Jeff starting in first place has definitely been the one in those last two races at the top. Chris Cornett as well. He currently seems to be in 12th to 13th place, tumbling around, but he's been one of those at the top as well. There could be a few other names, but will definitely be a better option to see them all out on track and see how they bear out for these 130 laps of Daytona.
Yeah, 130 laps, going to be some mayhem here. The Cup car, this is the next gen style car. Well, actually, no, it's not next gen, is it? This is actually, looks like the Gen 6 style car.
Sure, you would know rather better. I'll be honest, the first two races that I did here were probably the first and second ones I ever did about NASCAR and football racing.
Yeah, this looks like the Gen 6 car. My bad. This is not really the next gen because they're not running the newer style Mustang out there. The newer style Mustang Camaro would be out there. So this looks like more the Gen 6 style car, which was right before the next gen. So they look kind of familiar. A little bit of internal style differences and whatnot between the two, but all in all, a lot of downforce to these cars. They have that draft style package to them where it's about 550. But here we go, pace cars in. Here we're going to green tonight.
Green.
And it's great here at Daytona, and we're going to go racing. Meanwhile, Jeff leads it front from everybody around. It's in fact Don Ledray, not Jeff, and all the other drivers. Meanwhile, the outside line is already on it, trying and get on the front or door of these drivers. But the man Don Ledray leads it on that inside line, and all those others behind trying to go double fire at this moment so far, but we'll see how long does it stay like this. Anytime soon we're going to see any moves, though not for the first few laps, but at least everybody's going to try and stay patient for at least a couple of laps, and then they could try and attack, but we'll see how it goes. The top three, the car 9, and meanwhile number 8 goes on the outside line, already on it, maybe trying to attack the leaders. It'll be interesting to see what they do, though. It is already piling up and the action racing begins. We'll see the outside line is not really the advantage all around, but sometimes when it does so, it boosts all those drivers on the outside and gets them to the front, and the fight is already on. The top two on both of those lines, and it's going to be the outsiders. Car number 8 this time, going a little bit ahead, but still playing close, though very, very close, and fantastic competitive racing. We're going to see what happens, though, as we go further and further into the race, and already seeing some great action out there.
Absolutely, 2x2 down that long back stretch here as they head off into turn 3. Like you said, door to door, single file, man, double file throughout the field. I always call this kind of textbook style racing, Zabby, as you see them about half a hood car length off of each other. That's what you call patient style drafting right now. No need to be putting that bumper up there in the back end until about the last lap. Then it's all fair game.
Definitely, and I think definitely we could see probably all of this going on till about at the end of the first stage, maybe into the second stage, a little bit of racing, but I think the main competitiveness and all that dive bombs and all those drivers losing their patience and probably getting impatient mostly happens in that third stage. But we'll see what happens around. We saw a little bit of a movement, and that was Sean Cross. That should be Sean Cross moving from outside to the inside, taking the lead of the race.
Yes, he is taking that lead, trying to break the draft up a little bit there. He goes high, goes low, little bump in the back. You saw him get wiggly. There's a couple places I say early on you don't want to bump draft. That's going in the turn, through the turns, through the tri-ovals. Really dangerous if you don't get her squared up on the back end. You can actually put somebody in a wall real quick here. I always say it. Look, it's not, you can qualify out front in one of these races, but coming from the back, it's really easy to do. Just get hooked up on the draft. Right now, just everybody being patient. Highline looks like it's going pretty good. Heading down the back stretch. Like you said, Sean Cross out front with this one. Got Peppers man right on his back bumper. Still a single file freight train as he goes low. Now still 2x2.
Still taking it very nicely, though. The leader, Sean Cross, still keeping it there, though. Nobody on the outside has been able to get closer. Obviously, some of those drivers on the inside going a little light there before 20, trying to go on the inside. Meanwhile, there was no way for him, but still moving around, trying to create pressure, trying to create give us some pressure to the cars ahead and maybe to force them into mistakes. Some mistakes could be horrible, as we've seen in the previous races, that one mistake here could really be too bad. You could be taking out yourself and others out of this race. So it is very, very going to be hard for all these drivers trying to keep it in one place and be patient. Meanwhile, on the outside is car number 15. It is, or I misjudged that number, but they're going at it. They're not going to be falling behind. Meanwhile, Peppers still staying to the outside, though. Very, very close, almost touching there the top two, but very close. Beginning those dot lines inside and outside. Still patient games, though. No one from the back of the field have really seen moving. Meanwhile, the two very, very close. The top two in the inside line, almost bumper touching there.
Yeah, it is. Everybody, man, so far, again, just being kind of patient, just riding along here. As you see them on the outside, inside, you still got that double file. This is what we're going to see for a while, unless they have some green flag pit stops. If green flag pit stops occur, we could see these packs start splitting up. That'll be interesting to see how that transpires as the race goes on. Right now, though, man, it is between Sean Cross and Ray out front. Those two guys been duking it out most of the race so far. They want to lead. Some guys want to be up front. Some guys want to sit in the back. You see the three machines back there in the back. You got Darby, I think it's up back there, Chapman, and Jackson. Those three machines back here in the far back, they're opting to sit back there, kind of be a little bit patient, saying, look, we want to wait. Maybe the big one's going to happen. We'll miss the big one. You know, it's just really early in the race. We don't need to be up there. Some guys like being up front. Some guys like being in the back.
Definitely, they want to take their time. They want to maybe stay out of that pressure, stay out of that competitiveness that probably they don't want, or any stress that they wouldn't want to be wanting at the start of this race, and try and stay away and think what they can do for staying behind and maybe trying to analyze everything. Meanwhile, the outsider is pulling away a little bit now, falling behind. In fact, I shall say the insider is on it. Ray is still on it, not giving anybody the chance to try and attack or even come closer to him so far. We've seen him go behind a little bit for a little bit on that inside line, but he's came back, jumped back, and he keeps it there so far.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's a car on the inside. Number 5 on the inside, still keeping it. What are they going to be doing, though? For how long is it going to be a chance for this? Still keeping it. They're going through.
It just looks like right now they're just being a little bit patient, you know. I mean, they got up there, they figured out what the car can do. That outside lane, the outside lane, I've always known is going to need a little help. Oh, man, I tell you what, the 3 car back there, he got awful wiggly. That's those guys that back there were being patient. Remember we was talking about them earlier? Aaron Jackson and company back there? Well, he actually got that thing sideways. You don't see that a lot here with these cars because they got so much downforce to them. But we was talking about that outside lane earlier. It was up there. It's going to need some help there to be able to get up there and fight on that low side. The low end is going to be where you want to be, I think, eventually. But right now, Donald Ray just being patient. He's comfortable out front. He's got a good pusher behind him, a tender. Everybody's just being patient. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, definitely there. Keeping their patience. Meanwhile, drivers like Jeff Pepper have lost about 6 to 5 positions staying on that outside line. Meanwhile, 420, James Tinder is not having it easy on the Ray there. He's just giving him pressure, trying to put him under all the pressure he can to try and attack. Meanwhile, the outsiders, Adam Gardner could try and attack, could try and be the leader of that outside line, and surely is leading that, but how long before he's on that, right together with Ray on the leader of that inside line? We'll see. They're still scraping, they're still going out there, going so far smooth. The bottom 3 still staying a little bit away, trying to catch up to those guys, but still staying quiet. Meanwhile, the outside has now become the lead ones, and they've switched from outside to the inside to try and become the dominant and the leaders. Adam Gardner and Corey Denson have done it, the top 2. They've just made a move, try and take advantage of that outside line that sometimes it isn't always the best one to be, but sometimes when it is, it helps you get forward and be the one taking the lead of the race, and that is happening. That is exactly what has happened with the top 2, Adam Gardner and Corey Denson taking the top 2 places of this race, and on the inside line lead as well.
Absolutely. They was able to shotgun that thing up to the front there. You see Gardner, he got Scooby-Doo running on that one with Denson pushing him. That's why I said he needed a little bit of help. He got the help. They were able to get out front now, but they instantly dropped down to the inside. That left the man on the top side up there all alone. He's going to need some help to be able to power and motor that top lane back to the front. You still see Aaron Jackson and company back here around about the 8th place spot. You know, they're all kind of stacked up a little bit. That's from, I'm going to say on about 7th on back is where they're stacked up 2 by 2. You got, looks like, I hope I pronounced this right, Austin Hood, right there, along with Cross and Cornette along with him. Those 2 guys are going door to door. Still very patient, Zabby, right now. As you see, man, I always call this like textbook drafting. They are definitely away from each other. No need to put your nose, but let me tell you, when the last lap comes around, these guys are going to put the radiator up in the front of those cars.
Definitely. At least we need to probably see about 100 laps in the last 30. We could try and maybe expect something to be there. But meanwhile, car number 3 almost trying to attack and go 3 wide. Ooh. And try and put his car in between, in the middle there. It's really, really close. In fact, it is 3 wide there. Car number 8 being in between there. Meanwhile, almost behind is going to be very, very close. And there's a wreck behind. That is going to be 420. And some of the cars involved. That is going to be a huge incident there. We'll have to see the replay. But this is some bad news, and that could be the first caution of the race already.
Yeah, caution's out. Let's go back here and see what happened. It happened up here. Aaron Jackson and company, he was unfortunately involved in this one. We're going to see exactly maybe what transpired here. Now, watch the 3 machine here. Maybe some bump drafting going wrong. Remember I talked about that earlier? They were up there tagging each other. He was actually locked up on the back end of that 15, doing a little bump drafting. And going through the tri-oval. Oh, he just got tagged in the side, it looked like, and then just chaos from there.
Yep, trying to take it 3 wide, wasn't going to work. Almost like bumper close to the car ahead as well, which you talked about probably should be happening in those final laps, but doing it straight away, this is exactly what they're trying to stay away from, and it has taken a few drivers like Aaron Jackson and a few others there as well.
Unfortunate, man, for those guys there. Yeah, that could have been a little bit worse than what it was. I mean, that happened right there kind of about mid-pack, so it could have took a lot more cars out. Luckily, a lot of guys, man, heads up, was able to get around. Well, pit stops. What do you think here, Zabby? You think it's time for pit stops? I know usually, from my experience, from 100, let's say 100% fuel, they can go real lifestyle around about 30, 35 laps or so. I know they're not running 100% fuel here. Not that I know of. I think it's around 70, 75. I'm thinking they could probably go at least 20, 21 laps, so to speak. But it's 14 too soon to come in.
Maybe it could be, but it all depends when this first stage is going to end. Because if it's a little bit longer, they could be wanting to try and pit under the caution, lose as less time as they can, and get you back to that pack. And maybe when it's green and that other pack has to pit, and almost everybody now coming into the pits. Really, we don't see anybody out on that track to be going behind the pace car, and everybody thinks that it is time. Sure, if we don't, these drivers are surely thinking something, and all of them have went behind one or the other to go into the pits and get themselves, if not, if some fuel as well as maybe tires, if they think that there's some of them have wrecked them, and all those repairing the damages, those involved in the session, in the incident.
You know, here's the thing too. We talk about plate races. It's way different when you talk about tires. That's something you brought up there, pit stops wise, tires and so forth. Here, tires are not the be-all, end-all. It's more or less track position. I've seen guys actually now in real life. They obviously will change tires, but here, unless you could almost go the whole entire race without changing a set of tires. That's just how much tires are not. You know, they don't fall off as much. Normally what happens here is they take 2 tires because you've got to fill that thing up anyways. It's going to take, you know, around 8 to 10 seconds to fill it up. So you might as well throw 2 sets of tires on there. But if you see around the 14-second mark, that means they've taken 4 tires. On a green flag style stop, I don't think you're going to see anybody take 4 tires. I think it's going to be 2 tires, just from the experience I've seen in the past on plate races. During caution, that's usually where you see 4 tire stops. So it looks like everybody right now with a 7.5 second just probably even they either took 2 tires or they took just fuel only. Unfortunately, got some cars back here still on pit road. You got was it Chris Cornett? He had a minute right there. Probably had to do some repairs along with Morgan Sterling, Tim Darby. Looks like Dana Chapman. James Tender, and then unfortunately we know Aaron Jackson. He was all tore up. You see him right there in that 3 machine, just all tore up. He's gonna have a long way to go for damages on that machine. So just unfortunate those cars right there, because I can just see the pit time there, Zabby. Over a minute. You know they're doing repairs to their cars. So right now, 9 machines here looking really strong. The rest of them are gonna have a long day ahead of them.
Definitely, they're not really backing out. They're not really giving anybody some easy time. Of course, Adam, they're 56 with them as well, but definitely the top 3 guys should be in a very, very comfortable position when it comes stage 3, as long as they keep it out on track, of course, keeping away from any incident, any problems that they wouldn't want at this point in time of a race. Of course, if you get much damages, of course, as long as a minute it is entirety. It feels so long. Usually it might not be, but especially when you're in those pits, you're just counting every single second, and you know it matters a lot. So
yes, it does. Right now, the pace lights are off. These guys have been thinking about, okay, we know what our car will do up front. Do we start seeing some of these guys who are out front fall back to the back? I know that's a strategy we see in real life plate style racing. Some guys, man, love staying up front. Some love going back to back. We see some guys earlier doing that strategy. So now you know what your car will do up front. Let's see what it'll do in the draft. Maybe that's the strategy now. Let me fall back. See who I can draft with. Can I come back to the front just in case later on in the race I get caught back in the pack? Am I able to you know, I always like to use the word modulate to the front.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I got an update, Zabby, by the way. I got an update on the stages. It's going to be lap 35, 70, and then the end of the race.
Okay, that is interesting. So still about 20 laps to the end, a little bit less than 20 laps for kind of this lap, but it depends when does it go green. Does it go this lap? Does it go a few laps later? It'll be interesting to see, and I think up from now on, up till the end of the stage, all these drivers would be thinking that they try and stay away from any incidents or any damages, and probably this could be the time. Either we see all these guys go the most aggressive so far in this race, meanwhile the pit chase car comes in, as the point was, that, or they could just be the most patient they have to be to try and get the most out of these cars, as meanwhile 56 gets away very well on the inside line, not keeping away, they're still keeping it together, very 15, 40, 48, very, very close there. So is Don Ray there, on that outside though. Now car number 9 is now losing to 33, and Stowe to 24 as well on that inside line. Chris Mayo and 33, Chris Cornett it is, almost on the inside line, getting a little bit of an advantage, and Don Ray there, car number 9, losing a lot of those positions on the outside, and almost now the second last car in that outside. Of course, only 4 cars on that outside, still staying there, still thinking that's the best chance. Meanwhile, 24 from him thought to get in between those two cars, 33 and 11, I think that was, but still couldn't quite get in there. It could have been very, very tight and might have been way too bad for those guys. And meanwhile, the two guys just scrape it out there as you see a car disappear, but he comes back. Only 3 now remain on the outside, still thinking that they've got a chance. Best one, but I think not too long before we see all these cars going single file and in that one single inside line to stay there and pretty much try and do anything, any savings they can on fuel, on their own energy. Meanwhile, on the outside, we see another car coming in, which makes it 4-1 again, and the challenge is still on. It isn't over. Nobody's playing. Surely they are not too aggressive, but they aren't having it easy on the cars ahead, and that's definitely going to be some interesting things to the 48. And ahead of them would be 19, car number 19, still together, still very, very close though, but we'll see how are they going to be doing. Interestingly, for a moment there, we saw one of them getting to the inside line for a moment, but still staying, no, not finding their moment, not finding a chance to get a scrap to the inside because they know they need to be getting in one of those gaps. Stay within those guys because the outside line seems to be falling away now.
Yeah, it is. You see that outside line. You've been talking about it. You talked about Donald Ray right there. He did not get a good start on the restart. You saw him and kind of just either he missed a shift, didn't get going. That car, man, kind of, hesitated a little bit. He fell back. I'm watching this right now. Something we need to bring up here on plate racing. Team style racing. That's what you kind of call this here, plate style racing. And I'm looking at those cars at a 19. It looks like the number 19. Chris Mayo, the 24, they're all on the same paint job. So I'm going to take that they're all a team here. And they have been locked up like glue here so far. You see about 4 of those cars out there with the same paint job there, Zabby. And that kind of tells me that they're a team. Look out for those guys later on in the race. Right now, I think they're filling out process. What can we do? What can't we do? Let's get on this inside. Let's ride a little bit. We know what we can do on the outside. We're going to need help. That's 4 machines that can get on that outside. That's enough momentum for them to get to the front. They know they can. Right now, it's all Gardner out front leading this freight train. He's comfortable out there. He's got HUD behind him and everybody else. Hey, folks, appreciate y'all out there. Let us know who your favorite driver is. It's some exciting racing here. Daytona lap 21 here tonight. BMRL. It's a good one so far.
Yes, definitely a great one. And as far as teams are concerned, if I'm looking at the graphic, right, it says Jeff Peppers and Chris Mayo are 2 teammates for Beat Motorsports, and then Sean Cross, free agent, and Donlet Ray for ARCS Racing, the only driver of the team, seems to be in the session. And then one of those guys at the top, Chris Cornett of LPA Motorsports, it says, and maybe they could be running the same paint job. It should be, in fact, in any racing it is, the same paint job means the same team. At the moment, at least as far as names are concerned, they seem to be different to each driver so far. Meanwhile, Chris Cornett inside the cockpit. How is he thinking? What is he thinking there?
Just, one, don't get in trouble. All right, 2, just maybe stay here, ride a little bit, see what this car will do. No need to push it. No need to get up there, get in the back end of somebody. No need to try to get up there and, overheat the car. You see these guys kind of weaving a little bit. Everybody's wondering, why ain't they staying in a straight line? Why aren't they, staying here? I can't draft that way. Look. They have minimum tape on the front of these machines. These things run at almost closed up to get as much downforce as they possibly can. And that aerodynamics, got a car off the pace in the back. He got shot off into the distance. That's actually Tim Darby. And if he doesn't come back up on the track, it won't trigger a caution. It won't, and the reason it won't do that, by the way there, Zabby, is iRacing has a threshold here on this track so huge. But we'll go back on the replay. And let's see what happened to Tim Darby.
45-2.
Yeah.
Which was his quickest lap and quickest of the session by anybody. He seems to be very rapid out there, but before that, just after that, let's see what happened there, though.
Watching this replay.
Right behind. Let's see what happens, though. Are we waiting for that moment? He was weaving in there. He tried going 3 wide and then just bumped from behind. I think he wasn't maintaining his line. He was still moving around and quite expected with the cars so close together.
Yeah, Yeah, just unfortunate night there for him. And like you said, that's what I talk about. We go back to that bump drafting in the turns and the tri-ovals. Yes, you're going to see it as the laps, man. 10 laps, 5 laps to go, especially the last lap. Right now, though, they're about half a hood off. I call it textbook style drafting. Yeah, it's just patience. No need to get up there. You're going to make sure you don't overheat those cars. That's what I was talking about a little bit earlier, while they're kind of weaving in and out. Get a little air into that radiator, that machine. You have to. These things are closed off so much on the front end that you need all the air you can get. Now, obviously, here's Abby. I'm going to tell you, you get down to lap number 5 or 2, it doesn't matter. You'll blow that motor sky high, try to get it out front. At that point, who cares? But right now, you definitely want to make it to the end. And you see Gardner, he's doing all he can out front. You got Hud behind him, who looks comfortable just sitting right there as everybody's just in a single file. We see the outside trying to form up a little bit. We'll see if they're able to bring it to the front.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, surely those bumper bangings are maybe normal, trying to get up to the top, because obviously last few laps remaining, as you said, is probably all those drivers thinking that they could want to be doing anything to get themselves to the front. But of course, this isn't the time, especially the first stage, not probably the one. Meanwhile, the outsiders having their own battles there for a moment. Car number 2 in between the bottom 2 there, having a little bit of a battle. Let's see what happens there, though. Still maintaining at the outside line, just forming up now, but how long before they're just together with the leaders and the top 3 up at the front on that inside line. We'll see how it happens. That's really close. They're almost banging even each other in their car. And 19 and 3 once again, keeping it really close. 19 and 2 that is. Still staying close though, but that seems to be interesting. I think that is a battle in their own, though. They're both, all of them, I think. Still now, it becomes the 4 cars now on that outside, but I think we'll see how long before they're back on that inside line. Or they try and get together and get all side by side with those inside liners, but we'll see how they're going to be taking it. Meanwhile, it gets us into lap 27, very close to the end of the first stage now.
Yeah, stage 1, 35 laps, folks. Just keep that in mind as we hit the stud. So you got those 3 cars up top. I think they're testing the waters right now to see if they can actually, 3 of us, pull to the front. You can see, though, with this Gen 6 style car, with so much downforce, it takes a lot of help to get that outside lane and the momentum going, because you can see they're almost like stuck. Now, the one thing I like here, iRacing, Zabby, they have brought and have really done a very good job of side drafting. The side draft here really plays a huge factor, and it works very well here on the iRacing platform. That's something in one of the updates they did about a year or so ago, and it works quite well. You see it in real life racing, and they might be able to utilize that to be able to get to the front. But you can just see here how struggle they are. They need to be a little bit more tighter to be able to bring that the high side line up. But I think what they're trying to do is see how long it can take. I'm still saying those are teammates right there. I mean, maybe I'll find out for sure here later on, but I'm going to say those 3 are teammates. And I think right now they're just trying to test the waters. How long is it going to take us to get to the front? Can we get to the front? And how well is this outside lane? I mean, you can see it. It's not the dominant one, but hey, I've said before, you don't have to pass the leader. You just got to get your nose out front to win this race.
Yeah, surely that matters a lot, and definitely they could be teammates with all those same paints, but I think definitely they're still staying there, though, just trying to do what they can, as we see one of them getting onto that inside line. And of course, anybody from that inside that has to overtake the leader or get ahead and try and think that they can get ahead would need to be coming out to that outside line. So definitely not the only time not these only cars that we can see on that outside line. Definitely when time's right, where there will be more drivers out there, will be trying their luck, and the 2 drivers almost touched. They're very close. One of them on the outside, still very close though, scraping those cars together, wheel to wheel, trying to do what the most they can. Still taking those together, and the outsiders gaining a little bit of a position. And now the scrape that we were talking about, as more cars form up on that outside, it seems to be now both almost equal there. 33 very close, trying to defend the outside line and not try and let those on the outside, those right behind him, get ahead or attack. Meanwhile, 56 still leading, still ahead and doing their best they can for it to be the leaders of that inside line. Now the outsiders, for a moment we were thinking three, there were only 3 cars on that outside. Meanwhile, Chris Cornett now takes the lead around that outside, which will be becoming the inside. As soon as they get ahead, they move to the inside.
Yeah, they did. They was able to get help, get the outside lane. Now they're jockeying around for position. You see it. Gardner's going, wow, I was outside just riding by myself. Next thing I know, I got 3 machines coming up on my outside, and they take it. They drop down. You see Densham now. He's trying to hold it as they go door to door. They're still 2x2 stretched out. They're getting awful racy here at lap 31. I think somebody's trying to heat it up here as we're getting close here to stage number 1. These guys are getting awful racy. Who wants this stage 1? And is it that important to wreck yourself for it? They're getting awful close. Now you see them putting that bumper to the back end of him.
Yeah, they're not leaving any space, though. They're not really leaving any breathing space to each other, really fighting it out still already. Of course, the first stage important for as many points as they can for the first one, but we'll see shortly. They're doing all their best. Meanwhile, the outside, once again, Adam Gardner gets ahead, just staying a little bit of ahead of Stephen there, who should be on the inside in second place. In fact, will be on the outside right behind him, but all those on the inside still staying patient, though. Definitely they know they are the quickest one, and anytime that they get a little bit of a slipstream or any power, that they would be on that inside line. Should be getting them ahead, and we can see that. Meanwhile, 19 and 33 very, very close. Are they going to switch up to the outside line? Not doing so. Those outsiders falling away a little bit once again, and definitely the battle still on, and already seems to be heating up before we even got to the end of stage 1, which is very, very close to now.
3 to go, or 2 to go this time by as they cross the line. You got Densham out front along with Cornett. Who's going to be able to take stage 1 here tonight? Still a long race. These guys, man, are lined up single file for the lead. Corey, right now, he's feeling confidence, but he's got a whole madhouse behind him. Peppers, Cornett, Hud, Chapman and company as they head off down the back stretch into turn 3. Still single file freight train. The outside lane's faded away. Can the man out front, Densham, hold on to this thing with 2 to go here for stage number 1?
Not too long now before we have the first caution and at the end of the stage, but everybody now, they're already looking exciting, looking very, very impatient to be the first one to cross that line at the end of the stage. Meanwhile, 33 staying very, very close up there. So is Chris Cornett, which just goes in second place, staying there. Meanwhile, car number 33, he's just staying there. Chris Cornett, your trucks winner of the truck series last time around. He's still staying in second place, and he definitely is challenging there. And sure, sending a message there, he will be competitive no matter what car or what series it is. He is going to be there, and he's going to show us all what he can do and what he's capable of doing. So we're yet to see it. Sure, we've seen some of it in this race, and we are yet to get to witness what is it coming to be happening to when we are at the end of it. As it is lap 35 now, it should be the last and final one before it is caution. And Corey Denson currently leads at car number 19, ahead of everybody on that inside line. And at the end of this lap, coming to that finish line, start-finish line, it would be caution and the end of first stage. Corey Denson leading from Chris Cornett, ahead of Jeff Peppers, Denard Chapman, Chris Mayo, Austin, and all those behind. Very, very close. Bumpers touching there. This could be going wrong if one of them breaks or something goes wrong for one or the other. This is very, very close. Oh! And that is going to be one of them in the wall. And in fact, it's going to be more than one. And this is going to be a huge, huge incident into this race. Just at the end of caution 1. All those almost trying to win are not going to be at the top. The top 2 are now dismissed from the victory of stage 1.
Wow, we're going to go back and watch that. Zabby, I did not expect for them to do something like that just on a stage-style caution. I mean, that's something you'd see coming to the line you'd expect them to do for the win, but stage here tonight. Let's go back here on the replay. We watched it live as it happened, but let's get it one more time. I mean, just chaos. You saw Densham up there. Remember what I said earlier on, bump drafting in the turn through the tri-oval? That's pretty much a case of this, 100%. He was pushing for everything and then just got it off square a little bit, caught the corner, and then bam, ricocheted back on in, and then took 2, 3, 4 great machines out right there along with him. Wow. I don't know what they get for stages, but you've got to look at the big picture here. Was it worth it? That's what I'm looking at. Normally you would see some move like that. Hey, last lap for the win. I get it. Go all out. That's something you'd see. But for a stage win, I mean, are we getting a lot for the stages here? I'm new to the league. I don't know. I know maybe some points are involved, but I mean, I got to ask you, Zabby, what is your opinion? Do you think that was worth the move there to go for it that early?
We'll only know when it comes to the end of the race to see if this was really worth it and where they stand and how much damage they've sustained from this. And I think even before they came out, you could see that they were very, very close. They were touching away far, far earlier than the incident happened. And then, of course, one wrong move, and it did happen out there. And I think it is full I'm not sure how many points it is for that at the end of that first stage, but it is all full and then 1 point less after each stage, I think, as far as my knowledge is concerned here. And I think this was, I think both of them would be thinking that probably why did they do it? Because of, or at the moment we don't know how much damage they have. I'm sure they will know, and if that is too much, they would sure be regretting if what and why would they did it.
Real quick here, Zabby, the thing, since we're under caution, you see right there the 19 who was involved. That's Denson, who was out front leading it. Obviously, his back end's tore up. Front end looks kind of okay from here, but you talk about drafting and you talk about this race in a whole. Drafting, aerodynamics is a crucial part of the draft here. Having all those fenders straight. Now, when you're tucked behind someone, you could have a little damage on the nose. You could have a little damage on the fenders, as long as you're tucked behind, because the air is going to kind of just go over the car, maybe to the side of it. It's when you get out front or try to make that pass. If there's too much damage on that nose, it's definitely going to slow you up. It could affect that wing. His wing looks pretty good, so maybe the handling of the car will be okay. It's just going to be interesting to see how much that damage on the back, how much the damage on the front, and then also, Blue, who else did we have involved? You see Chapman was involved with that one. It was Cornette, wasn't it? Yeah, Cornette was the other one.
Yep, it was Cornette.
Yeah, so let's look at him real quick. His didn't look like it got a lot of damage. He was able to clear that. So I think Denson was the one who really is the worst out of the pack. But again, that's interesting you brought that up. Aerodynamics plays a huge factor, and it doesn't look like I do like this. I've done many of the leagues here, Zabby. I like the fact there's no fast fixes. This is almost like real style racing here. If you wreck, you get damaged, you better start breaking out the hammers and try to get that thing straight. There is no reset button.
Yep, those mechanics having to do the teams trying to get these cars out, and definitely the aerodynamics matters a lot. Even if you're having a little bit of a damage or some side fender or something of a hood of your car not attached properly or just damaged a little bit, that's going to stop you. That's going to be a disadvantage to you from everybody around. Unless it's fully fixed, it is going to be very hard to be there to the top, and definitely that's going to be a bit of a limitation, which it becomes, of course, in the long run. And that is why we were asking the question of, was it worth it just at the end of first stage? And I think we will only get our answers while we are towards the very last few laps of this race. But I think at this moment so far, Chris Cornett, running in 9th place now, and Corey Denson seems to be still in the pits and trying to get their car fixed. And we'll see if he's able to come out, or is it going to be night done for him.
Absolutely, man. Right now, as you see them double file, we're getting set to go back green. Folks, if you're just tuning in, stage one, and boy, it was an exciting one as the top 2 leaders took themselves out, coming to the line of stage one, and Jeff Peppers was the man actually taking stage one here tonight. That's why he's coming out front. Everybody pitted to 4 tires and fuel. Pace cars in. Zabby, we're going back racing.
And it goes green for, I'd lost count of how many times it went green in this race. But sure, just at the beginning of the second stage now, we're seeing our Vern, one of the leaders, at the end of the stage, which became those probably at the bottom of the race. Meanwhile, it is going to be Jeff Peppers leading from Chris Mayo, Donlet Ray, Sean Cross, William and Morgan Sterling, and all those behind doing their best, doing now seen, and they've just seen what could happen by being too aggressive, or by being this aggressive as the top 2 were at the end of that stage. And it's going to be interesting to see what is going to be piling up now at the end of it. The inside liner still leading there. We almost seeing they're almost going 4 wide for a moment. Obviously, it's not going to be with something that's possible here without any crash or a chance of another wreck that we've seen this time around. So this was very interesting. Now the top 2 so far seem to be comfortable, unless anybody from the outside line could be attacked and could be getting up back to those top. We've seen the outside liners falling behind, but they're just coming back. Meanwhile, Don let Ray gets back to the outside line this time, probably staying stuck on that inside line, thinking that outside is the way to go, and it is going to be the way to go for him and probably all those behind him, and I think he knew that he would have thought that it could be the way, so he try and defend from those behind on that outside line, try and be the leader of that line, and then have the best chance and best chance out of them all to try and attack and overtake the leaders on the inside. But so far, I don't think he's found much success, though. He's still about a car length, 2 car lengths behind, but catching up slowly. Yeah, it's very close. Car 8 and 9 very close to each other. Almost 8 went on the outside of the 9 that are leading. That's going to be 3 wide. I think there was contact, and that is going to be contact between 3, and I think it is 56, and that was going to be car number 3 going into some of the walls, I believe, and that is another incident. They banked for a little bit, and that is going to see Tim Darby into one of the walls out here at Daytona.
Wow, I'm going to tell you what, man has not had the night. Well, let's go back on the replay. No caution. Yeah, a little bump draft again in that turn. I talked about it. And unfortunately, the 3 machine there of Aaron Jackson, he's the one that paid the price on that one. Earlier on in the night, remember, he got hooked up. And then he's just going to tow that machine into the pits. He might just say, you know what, my night's done right now. Got a little bit of an update here, Zabby. Remember, I've been talking about these tonight when I've been talking about these teammates, and as they split that lap machine right there. Well, Corey out here gave me a little update. Been talking about the 3 machines out here tonight. They're Beard Motorsports. The 33 is actually filling in. Because Corey tonight, he's at the hospital. His wife is having a baby. So congratulations on that. Love to hear it. Going to have a new racer man out here in the future for iRacing. That's awesome to see. But he also, the 19 is Corey Denson. He's filling in for Andrew Grost, right? I hope I said it right. Grost right here tonight. So yes, they are teammates now that we know that, and that's awesome because they're going to need some team help here tonight. You can see the field kind of spread out a little bit, so good little update there, but just unfortunate, man. Some of these guys are good. Looks like we got 2 packs here too, Zabby. We got back here around about 7th place spot. You got Adam Gardner, who has a Cornet right behind him, and Sterling. You can see them. They've lost the pace, probably because due to that little incident, they lost the draft to those front runners.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that update, and all the keeping us up to date, and everybody watching as well. And I'm sure it's going to be, obviously, these 2 packs falling up, trying to work as teammates what they can do, especially the drivers and that top 2, Jeff Peppers and Chris Mayo, seem to be the 2 teammates up at the top. And then here in this second pack, it is 56 now, and meanwhile the pack ahead seems to be interesting as well. Now the second one still staying single file, still staying in that single line though. And meanwhile, 33 and 56 still scraping out there. They're very, very close. 33 having a fair share of incident and a bit of incident earlier. We saw him with the 19, but he's not backing out. He's not thinking to do much there, and he's still fearless. He still wants to go for it, and hasn't probably taken that for granted so far though. And I mean, they know that they got to be trying everything they can. Meanwhile, 33 and 56 still staying close though. Remember, this is exactly what happened, and they're bumper close once again. We're gonna see how this happens though. Remember, this is exactly what happened between 33 and 19 earlier, but this time around around the outside, he finds success. He finds it better and just goes from outside to the inside and gets ahead into seventh place for Chris Cornett.
And the biggest thing here, too, with these guys have staying single file. If they're wanting to even have a remote chance of catching that front six-pack up there, they're going to have to stay nose to tail. If they stick back here, start battling a little bit, and don't you just call it Shaw Cornett right there taking that front spot. Maybe he thinks that he's a little bit better of a puller than he is a pusher. Here, you've got guys that are better that way. They're better out front than they are tucked up behind. Maybe the car right there. You can see a little damage on the machine there. Looks like the 56 of Gardner. Maybe that's the reason when he was out front they weren't able to do it. So hey, look, get behind me, push me a little bit, let's see how well we can do, get to the front. Can we gain on these guys? There's a 2.3 second gap. Their last lap, they ran a 46.81. They're not running as quick as the guys up front, because I will say the top 6 guys right now are doing what they need to do here. Stay out front, single file. Again, we go back. It's a long race, Zabby. These guys, patience, patience, patience. We've seen a little bit of impatientness here, but we still got another stage to go, lap 70, but we still got a long way to go in the race here. So getting side by side, but here they go. They said forget about it, we're going to try it.
Yeah, they definitely need to try different things as they can. Meanwhile, we're seeing 8 pushes those on the outside, trying to challenge the car on the inside. 48, they're trying to take the lead in. 24 on the inside takes it. And yeah, definitely those packs behind, of course, a bit of damage maybe could, as you said, could have been to that 56. And I think, obviously, all those guys doing their best, but definitely, I think when they're trying to push each other off, trying to think about the bigger picture here. But of course, when it comes to battling around, when it comes to yourself, there's a chance you could get ahead and could be the one ahead of everybody around. You want to be the one, that driver. So they probably would be finding it hard to stay a little bit of patience that we've seen in this race so far, but we'll see how good they're able to do only when they're closer and they're making this work. Meanwhile, 8 and 9 on the outside, 24 and 48 on the inside. This is going to be very close. Outside line is, and number 8 moves to the inside very, very quickly there. And meanwhile, the pack behind, it seems to be catching up now very nicely there. With to the pack up ahead, and it's very, very close.
This is what they needed.
Exactly, and this is still interesting though. The 6 cars up at the front, 3 on the inside, 3 on the outside, and all 3 of those, which become all 6 now, which is going to be the inside line. But I think it'll be interesting to see who again moves up to the outside once again. A little bit of banging their bumpers to bumper. Meanwhile, 33 and 56, all the 4 cars up there in the pack, very, very close. Still staying single file, not going anything that they don't need to do at this moment. This is exactly what they need, and sure, they're at it. And probably even after not being teammates, they have to be working like a team of 4 and try and get themselves up to those guys up ahead.
And as long as they keep battling like they are up front, they're going to cut that 1 second lead down. As you see, the 8 machine says, you know what, I've been up front for a while. Let me drop back here, see what my car will do. He maybe just wasn't feeling very comfortable being out front. It's going to send the lead up here to Chris Mayo. And I want to make a correction real quick. I said earlier Corey was the one having the baby. No, it's Dustin Hardy out there. That's his wife's having the baby out there. So sorry about that. Corey was the one sending me the message, so just wanted to get that one correct out there. So again, congratulations there, Dustin, as always. Exciting race so far, folks, here. BMRL E-Racing League here tonight. Daytona. And it has been an exciting one. I mean, it heated up real quick. Stage number 1 at lap 35. The leaders out there trying to tear each other's chin off, and they did, coming to the line, handed it to Jeff Peppers, who right now is still sitting in that second place spot with Chris Mayo out front. Just being patient, that top 5 is. Let's see, back here, though, in the 7th place spot, they've cut that lead down to about 1.9 seconds, still about a 2-second lead. They need those guys to get up there and start battling again so they can maybe cut into that lead a little more.
Yep, definitely though. These guys, the back of the pack, would definitely need those guys up at the front. And I see some of those going into the pits. That is now the green flag pit stop that they want to be making. And we're going to see these guys coming in. And definitely now the pack is going to be splitted. It's going to be only 2 cars remaining in the back of it. Some of them into the pits. Some still staying out on track. Thinking that it's going to be time later on, and it is really interesting to see what piles up and who has the better strategy, better mind, and better thinking of the exact time they're in. Sometimes in pressure you make wrong calls, or sometimes even when you're thinking that this could be the better and the correct option, it isn't. Well, only time will tell on lap 52 out of 130. Still far laps away from the end of this second stage, and this is going to be who's going to come in. All of them going to come in now. All those, the battle that we were looking at, those guys, they're very, very close, even battling it out into the pits there. Yeah. Well, you know, that's another thing we bring up. We talk about teams a lot on the track with drafting and so forth. Coming in here and whoa, I'll tell you what, he come in, his pit crew's probably sitting there going, hey, hang on a minute. But coming into these pits by yourself is almost like a death sentence on a plate track race. You see right there, fuel only and go. You want to come in with a partner. I mean, you've got to come out of here with somebody. If you come out by yourself, you're like a sitting duck, a rock in water. But I said earlier in the race, remember we were talking about it? Green flag pit stops like this right here will split this field up. You can see it. These guys are going to come out still leading, but remember the guys that came in, you got Jeff Peppers along with Donald Ray. They're hooked up. They're going to come to the front, but then you've got, it's like little clusters. Everybody split up about a half second. They're not in a big pack anymore.
Yeah, that certainly is thing with racing and pit stops at the end of the day under green flags. If you lose some time, or you have to get it back out on track. And as you said, the drafting thing, they have to be really staying together. They have to be working like a team together. That's right, not only out on track, but into the pit lane and on the exit as well. You have to be together and really pretty much work as a team of 2, no matter how much competitive you want to be. At the end of probably the lap 1, at the end of last lap, but surely it'll be interesting to see what it's going to be happening. Though the packs are now split up in many of them now, some of them in 2 cars, 3 to 4 cars up there, but still they going very, very nicely with 13 cars still out on track and remaining in this race out of the 15 that begun. And the battle here between 75 and 48. Meanwhile, 75 into the pits.
Yeah, and this was the leader of the race, and you can see right here, just got stuck out here. Here's where a position you do not want to be in, coming on a plate track, coming on the pit road by yourself. That's a lonely feeling, because when he comes out here, unless he gets lucky and gets hooked up with a pack, if he gets stuck out here by himself, it's going to be a long night for him to catch back up. More than likely will go a lap down. That's going to hand the lead back over to Jeff Peppers. Donald Ray is going to be right there. Looks like 3 machines of them. They're going to catch up to the 19 machine. Unfortunately, the 19 machine of Corey Denson, who got involved in that wreck earlier on. They'll go right by him. But the top 3 machines, Peppers, Ray, Cross, they're all hooked up. They've actually got a 1.9 second lead over this next pack here of Cornett, Gardner, and Hines, who is the next 3, and then you see Chris Mayo, he's still in the draft, so that'll be actually a 4 car, and then it's about a 3 and some odd seconds back to another pack. So there's kind of showing he's kind of broke up a little bit with these green flag stops. Hey, that's all going to change when the stage caution flies at lap 70. They'll all get bunched back up here, but can you stay on the lead lap until then? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, surely it will be, and definitely they'll test of these drivers' patience, the pace, the performance that they've got with themselves and the car and working the team that they have been. And I think definitely at this moment you could be in all these packs and probably now from lap 56 could be waiting to the end of 70 there to try and get it caution and get the pack together. But of course, if you're someone like William, car 75, currently 10th place, and he's the only one, the alone driver out on track at this moment in time, definitely number one of those drivers, and probably this is the perfect situation of you would want to be those cautions as soon as possible, so you could be together with one of those packs. But otherwise, he's got many more laps. 13 laps to the end of second stage to really navigate through the circuit lap after lap. Probably would be counting now every single lap that he's going through when he doesn't have a car ahead of him, and probably many chances that he's going to be lapped by those leaders if he's still staying just alone. And definitely the cars without any slipstream, without any help of the car ahead, they don't seem to be doing much as compared to all those behind with the pack.
Good news, bad news kind of situation for Gay right here. As you can see him, yeah, he's probably going to go a lap down. That's the bad news. The good news is when that stage caution, he's going to be right there in that pack. He's going to get the lucky dog, so he's going to get right back on as long as he doesn't get passed from like a tender or so forth. So he will be the first one a lap down. And just to give you an idea, we're talking about him out there kind of just lonely, no help. He ran a 48.98 to the guys in the draft up there running 46.97s. So you can see just how much the draft plays a factor here as opposed to being a single car out there. So definitely just not a good feeling to be. You see Peppers right there coming out of the turn. So it's just a matter of time before they catch him. They'll catch him before. You can see it right there, just how far they are between each other. They'll catch him before the stage. But it's actually, like I say, it's a double-edged sword for him, Zabby. He's going to probably go a lap down. The good news is, though, he'll be the first one a lap down. So when that caution flies, he'll get the lucky dog. And so really, maybe kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for here, maybe dodged a bullet?
No. Kind of like that, losing nothing really. Still, despite losing all of that time in the pits and probably being out here out on track, but of course when it goes caution, if you're the first one to be unlapping yourself, you would be getting back, and your lap basically sends you back to the leader pack. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I've.
It will. Yep. Yeah. If you're the lucky dog, you'll have to start at the tail end of the field, but you will definitely. That's what's going to happen right here. Gay's going to be able to latch onto the back end of these guys and get that draft. So he's going to be able to hold right here with these lead pack cars. So when that actual caution flies, boom, there you go. Because actually the other machine, which is James Tender, you can see him way back here off the pace, nowhere near where Gay is. Gay is actually sitting in a pretty spot, being with the pack right here. He's either going to catch up to the second pack there or catch up to this first pack. Either one, he's going to be up there to the front, get that lucky dog, get back on the lead lap. And you know what? Like I said, dodge that bullet, still be able to be into this thing by the time the end of it.
It's definitely, and I think unless and until there is something from Tinder really that we aren't expecting, or maybe something happens to William there to get Tinder gets ahead. Otherwise, apart from him or anybody behind that is behind him in terms of position out on track, there's no trouble or problems or anything that he needs to be worrying about. He needs to be taking it as cool as he needs to, probably what he's doing at this point in time on this circuit. Meanwhile, we get on into the cockpit as we're seeing Kona in fourth place with the leader of this pack of Kona, Adam, and Stephen. They are fourth, fifth, and sixth position in this race as they are just catching up to the pack ahead and very, very close now. And I think at this moment, William would need to get out of the way with those guys rapidly arriving right behind.
Yeah, it's all going to depend if he wants to help out Cornette, if he wants to stay to that inside. Depends on what Chris is going to do. Chris looks like he's going to the high side. Sometimes this is going to pay dividends. Sometimes it won't. As you see, the 8 machine right there is going to go along with him across. Cross, though, gets punched in the back. Little aggressive move early on. And again, we go back to that, hitting them in the tri-oval in the turns. Way early for that, so I can already tell a pattern here, and I'm gonna go ahead and yell it out, and everybody can yell at me in the chat. It looks like Cornette's the aggressive one out here on the track. We've seen it earlier at lap 35. We've seen it right there at lap 63. So we go back to that being patient early on. Some drivers have it. Some drivers just say, you know what, I'm gonna go full blast and go all out. And looks like Cornette's one of the aggressive ones out here tonight.
Yes, definitely. He seems to be those ones. And let me tell you a story from the trucks race the other night. He was probably one of those third drivers, and they're running a pack of top 3 drivers on that final lap in that race. And he went to the outside just like he did right now. And he ended up being the first one to that line and taking the victory, which the aggressive style that suited and which got him. And that is definitely why he would be even more confident doing and applying that same pattern tonight.
Just as long as they don't get him in trouble like it did on that going to the stage caution. You definitely want to be able to make sure that you get across the line. Meanwhile, Pepper's out front, feeling pretty confident right now. He's got Ray pushing on the back end. You see Donald there, Cornette hanging a third. You got Gardner right there in the 4th place spot. It was a 3-car runaway up front, but now it's ended up in about a 7-car machine race right now. Did you see William? He's in the middle of it. He's one that's a lap down, though. And you see that outside machine there. That's Sean Cross. Cross has been testing that outside waters a little bit to see what he can do. Not so far. He's going to need some help, but maybe just getting out there to see, what can I do by myself? See if I actually can get to the front. I still think you're going to need a lot of help to get the outside going.
Yeah, he's just looking to be one of the orthodox ones, trying to do something different from everybody around. He already gets ahead of 2 and the car ahead of the other car, which is, of course, number 5, which should be Morgan. And we're seeing all these guys, they're still staying around, and they're really at it. And I think Sean Cross already on the outside is fighting with 2 and 56 there. And I think if somebody on that inside line also gets to the outside, there could be a chance for him to be supporting them from behind, but definitely that doesn't seem to be the case. As soon as he went to the outside, he seemed to be even losing a lot of time onto that, even that inside line, which he surely was a lot closer earlier when he stayed to that inside. But I'm sure he must have realized by now that he needs to be staying there. And this is going to be interesting. Meanwhile, some of them are on the outside, and that is going to be Jeff Peppers just moving past those drivers, those slow cars again. And 75 now moves out of the way as well. Meanwhile, 33 and 9 still staying close, still very, very close between the outside and the inside line there, though. So far, it's still Jeff Peppers leading the race, being the first one out there. But Chris now around the outside have taken it, have been the first one though, but still very, very close again. They're all scraping around and really trying all they can, just as we are on lap 67, but not far away from the end of this second stage. This is going to be lap 70. So all of the aggressiveness, all of those which we saw probably at the end of that first stage is all back on again between 48 and 33 was car number 19, other than 40. Oh, that's very close. Once again, the crazy aggressiveness comes back, and that could have been horrible. Lucky enough that he didn't hit the car on the inside, then he was very close to the wall on the outside as well. That could have been not in his way once again towards the very end of that second stage.
Absolutely. Come about 2 laps to go. Cornette says, I want it this time. He's a little far out. Needs to watch it because they can get a run on him. Here comes the 2 machine there. Hines, he's got the run down the back stretch. Does he fire to the outside? Does he have help? He gets a bump draft going down into turn number 3. Cornette still leading it. You got Hines right behind him. Peppers. It is heating up here for the stage here, number 2 tonight. They have walked off of it as Cornette. Can he hang on to the top spot? Does Hines have anything for him? Coming to the line, there's going to be one more to go here as we're going to get to stage number 2 here tonight at Daytona. Chris Cornette was in this position before, but it was flip-flopped. He was in second going for stage 1 and then just got caught up with the leader out there. Now he's out front. Does he get caught up again? We'll have to see.
Definitely, I think he's just giving at it. He's trying to stay away from those behind as well, and the risk of everybody get bumpering in him just like he did there in the 19 car earlier at the end of that first stage. But I'm sure he's going to be doing it as the bumpers banged there. It's a 60 lap 69. They're just very, very close to the end now, and I think he's just trying to defend. He's just trying to stay to the inside, to the outside. Anytime he feels there is danger or any part of the car that he feels there's going to be danger from, he just moves there and trying to defend. And he really wants that victory. He really wants the second stage win, and surely the third is going to be a greater one, but definitely the second won't be any less as well. It's going to have you finish first at the end of it, and it's lap 70 now. It should be a caution at the end of this lap. Meanwhile, it still stays green though on lap 70. So as soon as you're at the end of this lap, which becomes lap 71, it would be yellow flags. Meanwhile, it's very, very close. Look how it is between Chris and 48 there. It is very, very close. Who's going to be coming out on top to the as they come to the line very, very soon? But it's very close, both of them once again. Meanwhile, Ray wants it in there as well. Very, very close, and Chris has really so far been successful to defend. Meanwhile, the inside line moves far, far away from those guys. They could be moving up ahead and moving forward, but the outside line seems to be the better one. No, it isn't. It is going to be Jeff ahead of everybody, and it gets to lap 71, and that is stage 2 done.
And it should have been Cornette, I believe, coming across that line, leading that stage. I don't think they're going to give it to Peppers. Pepper was in front of him going down the back stretch, but you saw right there, little bump drafting coming out of the turn. But I'm going to say Cornette should have got that stage, unless I hear otherwise differently, because I think the stage ended as soon as they crossed the line and lap 71 flew. It's just a little late on when the caution flew there, Zabby. But Cornette obviously coming across the line, leading it at lap 71. So I'm going to say that he actually was the stage winner that time. We know Peppers won stage 1, but stage 2, I'm going to say, should go to Cornette, even though it's saying Peppers is out front. Unless we get confirmation differently.
They definitely would be wanting that. I think it was very close, and now at the moment Cornette falling to 3rd place at this moment, right behind Steven as well, but we'll see how it all pans out when it's green back again. I think it was very, very close though, quite hard to judge, especially from the view we have far, far away with these cameras watching. Maybe the race control or the drivers from those cockpits have a better idea of what really happened, but I think the car is very, very close. Even if you're an inch ahead of the other car, you could be coming to that line and taking that victory, and this is what happens in racing, and I think that is exactly what makes it hard to judge. So definitely, I'm sure somebody around who could be having a better idea of what really happened there than us. But I'm sure sometimes, or probably most of the times, commentators aren't wrong, though. I mean, we have a all-wide view of this track, so...
we have the jinx on them a lot of times there, Zabby. We put the jinx
that
on
happens. That happens.
Well, I tell you what, it's been a good one here tonight at Daytona. We're under stage 2 caution here tonight for the BMRL. Let's step away. Let's take a quick commercial breaks, because it has been a thrilling action, and we're going to come back. We're going to conclude this race. We've got 130 laps here tonight, but folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here in a few.
Hi, I'm Blaine Smith, the Executive Director of Team Red, White, and Blue, and I wanted to take a minute just to welcome you on board and let you know that we're proud to have you as a new member of our team. This short video is a way for us to give you an idea of what you can expect from your experience at Team Red, White, and Blue, and also what we expect from you in return. Something that's really, really important to the fabric of our organization is our Eagle ethos. It's just 6 words, but they mean a lot to us, and they guide us in all we do. Those 6 words, passion, positivity, people, commitment, camaraderie, and community, are more than just organizational values. They're what we're all about and what we strive to work for in all of our programs and in every single one of our interactions. The next thing I want you to know is that we are an inclusive organization by design. We're open to veterans of all eras, of all ages, branches of service, combat experience, as well as active duty service members, their families, their friends, and just supportive members of the community that come out and take part in our mission. Every single person is important to what we do. All are welcome, and we look forward to seeing you all out there.
And then if you want to, just a little bit about how the foundation helped you.
You know, I was in a pretty serious deal, as most people know about. It's a pretty tough deal, very traumatic for my family. A lot of stuff that we went through that people would never understand. Without the assistance from the Steve King Foundation and several other donors as well, we could have come out of that thing in financial ruin. But it just takes a lot out of your family just to go through rehabilitation, all the medical bills. There's so many hidden expenses and stuff that you would never know about until you actually get involved in something like that. And and even if you help somebody out with 500 or 1,000 or 100, whatever it is, it means a ton to the person, just to be able to live and to get through these things. It takes an ungodly amount of money, time, effort, patience, with the families, the doctors, to be able to get through a traumatic experience. And, with the Steve King Foundation, that makes everything a lot better.
And we are back at it, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 74, it should be going green, whereas we will be returning to this stage and 3 and the final stage of the 130 lap race here at Daytona. It was a great first 2 stages, and we're on to the 3rd one, which should be nothing less than an interesting and exciting one. Meanwhile, the drivers on the outside, all given already having switching positions. Meanwhile, Steven in that car number 2 at it. Meanwhile, comes back. There's Jeff Peppers. He's not holding behind as well, and this is where the aggressiveness was expected. It happened in the first 2 ones, and it shouldn't be any less in the final and 3rd stage. Meanwhile, 33 and 2 still scraping out. They switch from the outside to the inside, still staying there though, and they're going to keep it. Meanwhile, car number 8 not far away as well. And with that, help of the unlapping system, which iRacing of course is, the William now in 6th place. He was and not a lap down with against all those cars. He having to come and get back to that inside line. All these guys now going single file, which you probably saw hardly saw anyone be doing that for majority of the race in those first 2 stages. For a few moments we did so, but not a lot, and now the whole grid is up in single file there. They're now probably trying to be those less aggressive ones, but Chris Cornett is not going to be having any mercy on the leader. He's not going to let him breathe nice or breathe any pressure-free air, and he's going to pressure him all and try and do something what he has been doing so far. coming out in first place at the end of that second stage. He's going to try and take it all at the end of the third one and become the victorious here at Daytona. But only time will tell, and sure, he's going to be at it. And definitely there should be nothing less, which we've seen. We've seen definitely enough of him taking that victory. The aggressiveness, the passion, and definitely the will to do it. And he's at it already.
Absolutely. You see Hines out front, man, just holding the pack, still there. Cornette behind him. I still say he would probably rather be out front, but he understands. It's lap 77 of a 130 race. This is the last one. No more stages. The last one will be for all the marbles and the win tonight. So you've got to be there to the end to do it. So stay behind him. Again, they will have to pit again, though, here. And they might even actually have to pit twice from what we've seen tonight. I'm still going to say it's going to be close. We've seen them go about 20, right on that 20 lap mark, though. So it's going to be interesting, Zabby, whether or not they're going to have to pit at least one more time or two more times here. At least once, though, because everybody pitted at lap 72, and that's well over 50-some laps here that they're going to have to go left in the race. So, definitely you can save a little fuel by riding behind someone. You don't have to stay, full on the throttle. That's two things. There's something we haven't really talked about, the draft technique here. When you're right behind someone, and let's go on board here real quick. We'll go on board here with Peppers and just let you see. Right now, he is just riding comfortably behind Cornette. Two things that you can do when you're drafting. If he starts pulling up on the back end of Cornette, he can either crack the throttle just a little bit, not much, to get that car to settle down and kind of slow up. Or you can drag the brake, which is a technique I liked using when I was racing a lot because I felt like you didn't lose as much momentum. It takes about a lap and a half to get these cars up going because of just the plate style nature of them. So, different kind of ways to draft behind, but nonetheless, that's what you do. But by cracking or dragging that brake, he doesn't have to stay on the full throttle, unlike the man out front who pretty much has got it to the floor, all the way around here. So he's using a little bit more fuel. So something to think about in the back of your mind there.
Sure, and I think especially it is going to be very close, though, as you said. Anybody could there from probably now, as close as it is, the top four could be having their chances towards the very end. It'll be very interesting to see what they have to. So, not sure about this, but all the other two races we did the other night, it was in their third stage. I believe it was mandatory to pit once under the green flags for every driver to do so. So we'll see what these drivers do around here, and interesting to do so. And all those behind us had drivers hanging behind all the driver ahead, and really try and drive smartly, precisely what they have to keep their car and hold the energy up to the top to be needed when they have to. And definitely car number 2 with Stephen still leading, though, still having that lead. And I haven't looked back so far. Chris, for a few moments here and there, maybe moving around a little bit to try and get that lead, try and get pretty some pressure. But I think everybody has stayed calm, and nothing like too much that we've seen so far. Of course, only a few laps that we've been into the third stage. I think as soon as we are 100 laps plus, there could be many more aggressions by these drivers once again. But especially those last 20 should be nothing less than crazy.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to get, man, awesome here tonight as the laps wind down. We're lap 82 here, Daytona style. Been a thriller here for the BMRL tonight. You see Hines out front, don't want to get too far. Cornette still riding behind him. Everybody's still being patient. You got that freight train heading off down the back stretch. I'm curious to when the pit stops is. What do y'all think out there? Appreciate it, Dustin, man, as always. Got Dustin out there. He's been watching. Bubba racing out there along with it. Again, just got to appreciate all the viewers, man, tuning in tonight. Hit those likes and shares. I know the league definitely appreciate it. It's a good one. They come across the line. Going to complete lap 82 to get lap 83. Hines leading it here, Daytona, and we're under the lights here, by the way.
All night time under those lights, and all trying to get the best visibility they can, of course, under those lights without any sun or any light from the nature. They have to rely all on those light bulbs that there are on the track. But of course, they're bright enough to show us that all these cars light up the action of racing, and that is going to be 24 hanging around the outside. But the two teammates, that should be the same cars they're running, still hanging, and the third one joins them as well.
Wow.
The team game begins right there. The outside line still stays, and that is going to be the top two, and which is going to become three. All three of them get ahead with the help of each other from that inside line. That happens to be Chris Mayo, Morgan, and Jeff Pepper is the top three, getting it there, and Chris leads from here.
Yeah, it is. They kind of shot out of a cannon. You saw Mayo come to that outside. We've not seen it all night long. Nobody been able to just take a two-car tandem and bring it to the outside, but those two did. I think they took the help of everybody else out there just kind of being relaxed, and then they just jumped on it, was able to get up front. Those top three machines, again, looking like, man, a team out there, and that's what they need. A little bit of a teamwork. They're probably going to come into the pits together, lap 84, but it's all Mayo, Sterling, Peppers out front, along with Hines back in fourth. Cornette falls to fifth. Well, I tell you, that's going to be a tough duo to get around up front. Those guys are there. So, what's up, Dakota? How you doing? Saving fuel. Okay, you know, we've been talking about that saving fuel. I don't know. Mayo came on that outside there, Zabby. Like, I don't know how much fuel they're going to be saving.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much, like, he did not care about it at all. I mean, didn't really hesitate at all, and just pretty much looked like the dominance that they wanted to have. The whole team there, the top three, just try and get ahead there as quickly as they can and just be the ones at the top and maybe trying to maintain the pace. That's the word to say. Just try and maintain everyone behind as well, and maybe keep it single file, which of course everybody wants to be, but we'll see how it's going to be happening around till, as we're just now going to be on lap 86 of 130, and if they have to pit for fuel, maybe it could be anytime soon now.
Yeah, they came in at lap 72. If I go off of what they've been doing all night long, it's going to get close here to them come on pit road. Like I said, about 20 laps has been the mark. Maybe a little bit, you know, a lap here and there could be off. But I'm going to say it's been around about 20 laps. I mean, you're going to see these guys stay single file because you don't want to get caught on that outside. And we saw earlier with William Gay, you definitely don't want to get caught as a single car coming down on pit road. So you want to come in. And to me, if I'm sitting back here at Hind or Cornette or whatnot, unless I've already said, okay, look, we're going to work together, once I see those three leaders come in, I'm coming in with them, because I definitely, like, again, just don't want to get caught out there by myself, not having any help, not having a teammate come on pit road. We saw earlier how crucial that was.
Yeah, it definitely was, and I mean now with no more caution or any help that they would be wanting, as there was at the end of stage 1 and 2 with that, of course, pace car helping those who were probably pitting alone, and especially you saw in the case of William there, which wasn't going to be happening. I think now they would be knowing the importance of the whole pack together, and I think not only these guys, but there's a high chance that we see everybody pitting all together at one time to probably try and come out with at least, if not all, just all of them, some of them to come out together at one time.
I believe you're right. I think, you know, at the point of what we're at right now, you see them all single file. It wouldn't be out of the norm for the whole pack just to come in at one time. I mean, we go back here to look. We've got right now 9 machines all lined up. Well, actually, it's the top 7, all lined up. Because unfortunately, you go back here to William Gay, who has lost that front pack. Now, he does have some help right there with Austin Hudd right behind him. But those two cars, yeah, they're going to need a little help now. They've lost that front pack. They've lost that, draft with those guys. Yeah, they're going to need a caution to get back up there now.
Yeah, definitely. And I see the YouTube. I don't think they. see the game through the cut up, and there we go. It's back
Okay,
now, and we'll be on the action there for a little bit. But there we go now. Definitely sure it's really going to be the case. And now, I mean, we're getting closer and closer to really the end. It's already on that 89. I think definitely the action-packed racing and all aggressiveness and everything we've had. Surely these laps, 89, which become 90 now, haven't really felt like anything less than fantastic. And all these laps have been amazing. I'm sure with this battle and action-packed racing going on, we wouldn't have to be probably counting or have a look at how many laps are remaining. It'd rather be at the end of it very, very soon. But we'll see those still going single file at the moment. I think maybe all of them now, as we probably see some people observing and suggesting that there could be some fuel saving now, which we probably for a moment earlier thought wasn't going to be the case, but it could be the one right now to try and probably go as long as they can on these. For a moment I thought there Carmen was coming into the pits there, but just getting back out on the track.
Yeah, you see, man, Mayo's still up front, along with Sterling there, along with it, the 24 machine. But yeah, you've got guys coming, going in pits. Still kind of curious. They've been out there for quite a while. A lot of these guys pitting on lap 73, 72 here. So that puts them right now. They're getting close to that 20 lap mark I was talking about. I'm going to say again, 20, 25. Either way here, Zabby, if they pit, let's say they pit lap 92, that puts them around about 20 laps. That still tells me that they can't go the whole entire distance on a green flag run. You would still have to go well over 30 laps. We've not seen anybody do 30 laps tonight. I could be wrong. Well, I mean, in order for them to do 30, they'd have to go to what? Lap 102. Can they go another 10 laps here? I've not seen it tonight so far.
Definitely, and I think while talking about that 20 lap, or even if they're going about 25 laps on that single run on the green flag, they'll at least have to be going about by lap 105 laps if they're going 25, or even if they could stretch a little bit longer, they could be putting a little bit earlier, but at least 100 laps, not before that, if they have to be making it to the end. We'll have to see how much they manage. Of course, management plays a big part. If you're not managing it too correctly, you're probably using a lot of it when it's not required. You could be being on that back foot a little, but we'll see what they do so. And I think it's going to be now only in a few laps where we see what is going to be happening there. Probably this single file, every single car, which we didn't see probably for those first two stages, but usually some other drivers like to use those first two. We're seeing that in the third one, but I'm sure as we'll get to those final ending laps, it'll be crazy even before.
Yes, it will. You see them coming up on a lap machine right here. I think that's actually Gardner they're coming up on. He is actually one of the first machine. Well, actually, he's not the first machine to lap down. Unfortunately, he got himself caught out here by himself. He's the first one on the tail end of the lead lap. The good, again, another good, bad news. If a caution flies, the bad news is he's probably going to go a lap down. The good news, if a caution flies, he'll have the lucky dog if he can stay up front there, as he's got a pretty darn good lead over Tim Darby, who is the actual first car lap down. So not the night there Adam Gardner wants. You can see that damage probably playing a huge factor. Again, we're sitting here talking about pit stops. They're well past the 20 lap mark now, getting into that 25 lap territory here, which could still, I'm with you there, Zabby. They're going to have to at least take this thing to lap 105. Even if they go 25 laps, they're going to have to go to at least, lap 100, 102. That, to me, that's a stretch.
Yeah, that really is, and that probably could be the reason that we're seeing these guys now not really attacking much, and really some of them even falling behind a little bit. All of them just having that a little bit easy on that throttle to not use all of the fuel. Maybe first of all, even having to pit before they have to after about 100 laps. But in this case, they have to do the remaining 5 laps to even get it to 100 laps at this point, considering how many laps they've already done. For a moment there, we thought that lap car comes in, but they just jumped back out, maybe expecting everybody else to pit there, or just nobody pits in, so it could be the chance of them coming back out. And but I think we could also be seeing all these drivers pitting together all at once, which probably would be the case, as nobody would be wanting to go in any longer than everybody around them did.
Got interesting there. Appreciate the code out there bringing this up to bring it to my attention there. You know, remember we was talking about William Gay was off the pace along there with a Hein. So that front pack is definitely trying to save some fuel to try to go the distance. You know, we just talked about making it the lap 100. I feel like that's where they need to go in order to push this thing to the end. That has allowed William Gay and Hun to be able to catch up to this pack. And you remember, they were way off the lead there, but now they were able to catch this pack. So that's definitely helping them a huge benefit, because remember I talked about they're going to need a caution in order to catch back up, but now they're hooked up on the tail end of them. And so it went from what, a 7-6 car pack, now it's all the way, we've got back to a 9-car pack.
It really becomes that, but now the same thing happened. Question for you: the front guys are probably for fuel saving, but where did the fuel for those guys catching up right now it's going to come from? Because they probably would have used all of that in trying to catch up the pack, and now when it's time to try and save, or probably have enough fuel for them to go to the end, is it going to be even, or are they going to be able to load more fuel than they would be wanting to, maybe, which is probably going to play a factor about making the cars heavier as compared to the guys around you, but they sure would be thinking about a lot at this point in time with how this race has went so far.
102 is the magic number right now to go 30 laps. That would actually be 28 laps left in the race. So actually, I think lap 100, if these guys can go anywhere between 28 to 30 laps on a fuel wise, I don't know if they want to get into saving at the end here, because, well, then it's going to be, at some point you're going to have to race hard, and somebody's going to take that advantage at the end of this race. So we're at lap 98. You're gonna have to come into pits here within the next lap or two, and to be able to make it all the way. And I think everybody from the top, 1 all the way to 9th, has probably saved enough to do it. Every one of them pitted on lap 72, except for Mayo. He did pit on lap 73, so he has a little bit of advantage, maybe 1 lap advantage there. But again, 102 puts him at 30 laps there, Zabby, and that would put him 28 laps to go in the race. So at that point, we know they can make it all the way. It's just we haven't seen anybody make it, 30 laps tonight. So it's impressive of what they're doing out here. You usually don't get into fuel saving conservation mode on a plate track race. That's kind of unusual. It's usually side by side and dueling it out.
Yeah, surely it is, but definitely, with how the first 2 stages went, it definitely was going to be, if sooner or later was going to be a thing for the drivers to do. And definitely, as you said, having done, probably if they go to about 102 laps, it's going to mark 30 laps for them to be doing that on their first. And then probably, as they say, if we haven't seen these guys, any of these guys do about 30 or even more laps with the fuel they would be carrying, it doesn't mean that they cannot do it. Maybe they can do it we just haven't seen it, but it'll all come down, and it looks like everybody's coming in. 100 is the number.
Wow, it was 100's the number. So that means if we go on calculation, they went roughly 28 laps on fuel. That's still going to be very, very close at the end of this one, Zabby. You're going to have to get every bit of ounce of fuel in that car here on this stop. Still, I don't know. Do we see, if this thing goes green the rest of the way, which, we know how plate tracks go, it gets hectic as the laps go on. But let's say, and plays a little devil's advocate real quick, if this thing goes green flag, do we see someone running out at the end and having to do a splash and go? They went 28 laps. Still, though, there's 29 here, almost 30. And that was saving fuel, too, at 28 laps. What do y'all think out there in the chat? Let us hear y'all's opinion. I'm going to say somebody's running out. If this thing goes green, I say somebody's running out. Obviously, if a caution comes out, hey, forget about it. We throw what we're talking about out the window because everybody's coming in at that point. But if it goes green, I got a feeling somebody's running out of fuel.
Sure, it does, and I think especially probably the fuel saving we saw these guys do just in that stint, and now this time around, having as you said, made more laps than they did earlier. Probably we could see some fuel saving, which I feel like just in a way, surely it is not impossible to do so, but just in a way, it doesn't make sense to be saving fuel in those final laps when it's time to attack, when it's time to be aggressive. And I think maybe unless they use all of that in those first two stages, and the third one is they're using it, treating it like a first one. But I'm sure even if they want to be saving it up, the maximum they could probably try and save it up to like 120. At least the last 10 they want to be having for the aggressiveness for the fight. And definitely it doesn't matter. Sure, all those at the back of the pack could be staying there right now, but definitely as comes the as the end of the race nears, they definitely would be wanting to be getting at the top and try and get as quickly as they can and challenge those up ahead. And I think, as you said, we won't be surprised if someone runs out of fuel tonight. It'll be very, very tight to the end of the race.
Gotta give a shout there too. I didn't think about it. Green, white, checkered. If that happens, you definitely know everybody's coming in because you're not going to make it from that point on. You know, Dakota out there says, yeah, they could probably go all the way. I'm still going to say they're going to be tight. It's going to be an interesting. Now, the one thing here, Hines, he's running behind this lap machine. That's definitely helping him right now, staying tucked up behind him on that fuel-saving mode. You see Peppers, Cornette back there, too. Remember, we talked about Cornette being awful aggressive early on in the race. Right now, I think he understands if I want to be aggressive late in the race, let me save all I can here early, just in case this thing does go green, and that way I can get up there and, you know, just push this car to the end and be there to the end to win this thing. So right now he's holding into the fourth place spot. And also, you know, two of the hard chargers here tonight, Hines and Cornette, they're both up 9 positions. So they're the hard chargers of the night so far.
Yeah, they definitely are, and surely they're still keeping it there, taking it there, and definitely that lapped car which is in there between Adam Gardner that is helping them, and definitely that saving a little bit. We'll see, that's a huge gap between these drivers. The packs that are very close, they're pretty much very close on the exit of that pit, all those pit stops, but maybe falling away a little bit. All of those drivers trying to do their best to try and be doing some fuel saving, and there is going to be drivers, some of those getting out of the way, some of them just moving on the outside line, trying to making those, it look like the drivers ahead are getting out of the way. And the two teammates once again going to be staying to that outside line, trying to challenge Chris Cornette there. Now he's going to be challenged by 2, but almost 3 teammates. Meanwhile, one of them around the outside almost went there in the wall. That could have been one way or the other. Too bad. Had he carried just a little bit more speed, or any misjudgment of that corner, could have been very, very different than what we are seeing at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, right here, you see Chris Cornette. I think he is in fuel-saving mode. He's dropped back. He understands, man, assignment here right now might be a little bit less as we got 25 laps to go here tonight under the lights at Daytona, the BMRL here, the E-Racing Series. It has been a good one. Hines out front leading it. Donald Ray sitting in second. You got Jeff Peppers there in third. Morgan Sterling in fourth. You got Chris Mayo fifth. Chris Cornette, he's up in the sixth. Austin Hunn right there in seventh. Sean Gross eighth. William Gay in ninth. And Adam Gardner rounds the top 10 from there. Again, we've been talking about fuel because they went roughly 28 laps, folks, here on a fuel, but that was with them saving a lot too. Can they make it the next almost 30 laps is what they're going to have to go, anywhere from 29 to 30 laps. You can see guys who've been aggressive all night long, like Chris Cornett, who has fallen back a little bit, maybe sitting back there trying to save. Good news is for Hind up here, he's behind a lap machine. He can save a little bit. We talked about throttle control. Ray's right there holding, so Hind doesn't have to hold it wide open out front like he would before. You see Peppers too right there. He's leading that second pack, and has actually kind of broke down just a little bit from the top two guys. I just feel like, yeah, we're seeing these guys right now just being very, very cautious, patient. That's not going to last long, though, Zabby. You wait till about 10 to go. These guys are going to start feeling it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to ask. Like, how long do they keep this going? How long do they think this is going to be the time? Like, for how long they would be thinking to be there? And I think
at least 5 to go. I'd say at least. This is a big track. This is 2.55 miles. You normally you would say I always say with about 20 to go, run what you run. Business is about to pick up. On a plate track, it's usually about 2 laps to go because it's such a huge. And many times in real life we've seen things change just in 1 lap. So I'm going to say 5 to 8 laps is when you really start thinking about, okay, what I've saved enough. What I got's what I got. I'm either going to pit or I'm going to run out.
Surely. I mean, how much chance is it? How much of a chance it is that probably if they try and go big, if they try and like go at it by early, probably like 10 to 15 laps remaining, and maybe they just think that they've saved enough. And how many chances that nobody really finishes the race? I mean, sure, I know that they can probably.
Road. Wow.
And there you go. There is a pit lane, and once again he's alone. Earlier he's trying to do that, and he does it again.
Yeah, unfortunate. Maybe he was just one of the ones that's thinking, I wouldn't remember. He pitted with that pack too. They came in earlier, so it's not like he was an off-style pit stop with everybody else up front, but opting to come in here now.
Maybe
this
could.
Yeah, this could pay at the end if he can keep with the pack here. I don't know. I mean, I know Dakota and them out there saying they can make it all the way, but they were saving an awful lot on that run before. Now, again, with them saving an awful lot, too, we don't know up here in the booth how much fuel they actually had left when they did pit. Did they have enough? Maybe they could have went another lap, or so forth. Or were they almost out? Those kind of things we don't know up here. So, I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see when it gets to the end.
Yeah, surely is, especially, or maybe Pavilion there wasn't able to save as much as everybody around him, or he just didn't even have it earlier when he pitted. He just didn't feel enough, and of course, when he came back out on track, it drained out earlier. Though he realized that he was going to make it, giving him some trouble to the end of the race. He opted to pit, and surely that factor comes that maybe he knows something that we don't, that he expects everybody around him to probably pit one more time to the end, which of course then could be giving a little bit of an advantage to William having pitted earlier, but then there's the question that does he then, of course, have enough fuel if everybody around him pits, and he doesn't, and probably maybe having done a few laps less than with pitting right now, but will it also help him if everybody pits for him to be back at the top? Which is unlikely, though. I mean, with just 19 laps now remaining, I doubt that anybody's going to try and pit. And these under moments, knowing that track position is very, very vital at this time of the race.
Yeah, you come into pit stops now without any help. It's almost a death sentence here. With, like you said, with 19, it's going to be 18 as they cross the line here. With Hines, get Ray behind him, Peppers there, Sterling, and Mayo, your top 5. But you definitely could see how spread out they are. Normally they would be right on the back end of each other, or like I was talking earlier with that textbook style drafting I was talking about. But they are so far apart from each other right now, you definitely see these guys are saving fuel. There's no question about it right here that everybody is in fuel conservation mode. again, I'm with you there, Zabby. When do you go? When is the time to say, okay, you know what? I've saved enough. I either got it or I don't. I've got to trust my instincts, trust my crewman, trust my telemetry I've got with me, and it's time to get going. So we'll have to see how that is. Do I got enough? Does a caution fly and just mess up this whole strategy? I mean, do we go green, white, checkered? You never know. It's Daytona. It's one of these things under the light. Could be a full moon out here. We've seen exciting stuff here tonight so far.
Yeah, we sure have, and I think it's been nothing short of awesome and some great racing that we've got to be seeing. And I'm sure with these 17 laps remaining, these guys are far, far away, but without a doubt, those final laps are going to be even more crazier. And I won't be surprised if there is even more crazy battles and actions that we've seen so far, and more than that. So far, they're, of course, going at it, as you said, that when would be the time that they think that, of course, they have to be going. At the moment, all going single file. Of course, that is going to be the only way for them to be saving up as much as they can. I have to say that even in those first stages, we didn't see this big of a gap get up between all these cars. They're just far, far away from each other. They're just trying to stay away from keeping their foot away from that throttle to have as much saving on the fuel they can, which is all definitely really getting up on their minds, and I'm sure it's got to be the one. If you've got only 16 laps to go now, it's going to be 15 when it's at the end of this one. So it'll be very, very amazing now. It's not far away there a moment. Car 2, they're trying to go for it there. As we're going to see somewhat fitting there.
Like a fake, maybe.
Yeah, they're just trying to throw a block there to try and make others try and fit. Meanwhile, Chris going at the aggressive man goes around the outside there.
He does.
He switches to it, and maybe this time he thinks that this could be the time to go for it.
Yeah,
or is
15
it too
to
early?
go.
Not far away now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Zabby. We sit up here and we're just trying to figure out what these guys are doing, what's going through their mind right now. What do I have to do on this track to put myself in a position to win? We've seen Cornette be aggressive all night long. Does he have anybody that's going to help him, though? We've definitely seen the teammates, and wow, well, this just answered our question on whether or not can somebody make it all the way. Oh, contact on pit road. That's Cross. Well, that's going to hurt him a little bit getting on his pit box there. A little bit of a traffic jam coming on pit road. But this right here basically just answered all our questions. Can they make it all the way? I guarantee you're going to see the top 3 come on pit road before this one's over. I knew they were close. I know Dakota out there saying they can make it all the way. I don't know. They were close. I think this is a smart move, though, right here by these guys.
Yes, it really is. I mean, probably I would say that not much experience of this track or these cars, but as far as it looked at this
I know it is
point
now.
in time, yeah, as it time, but I think it was going to be very hard. They could make it, even if they did. It was going to be having to be on that same pace that we saw in this fuel saving, which was. Yeah. And remember William there, who pitted earlier, a few laps earlier than these guys did. Maybe we see him move up a little bit in terms of positions. Currently still running 7th, though, just ahead of Jeff at this point in time. And all these drivers
unfortunate.
Now.
Hey, unfortunate here, Zabby. Remember the 8 machine who got caught up on that little mess up on pit road? Looks like he got a penalty on pit road there, and that's pretty much going to be a done deal for him on the night, because he's still on pit road to number 8 of Sean Cross.
He might not be liking that. He definitely will not like that. Coming into those pits, of course, into the minds of those drivers is more like, how can I gain that position? How can I get ahead of them at the end of this pit road, or probably even going in there despite a speed limit, but they try their tactics to stay ahead, to get ahead, and with that penalty coming his way, it's not going to be a good feeling.
I'll tell you what, let's break this down real quick here, Zabby, because it's interesting what's happened here with this pit stops with 13 to go. You got Donald Ray out there with Hine and Cornette. They are locked up nose to tail. They are sitting right now 2.4 seconds ahead of this man, and the reason being is Mayo is almost by himself. here. He does not have these guys here. So those guys that all went on pit road beforehand didn't come out as a group, and this is devastating to them because as they have no help for that front pack. So to me, and you can already see the times are just walking away. That gap between Mayo and Cornette has extended to 3.4 seconds here. So yeah, those top three, unless a caution comes out, there's going to be your guys that are going to be racing each other. Then it brings up the question of, we know it takes help to pass someone. So which one of these three helps who to get to the front? Or do we see another bang bang like we did on that first stage tonight?
Right, definitely could be possible, especially with how close it's going to get to the end, which is, of course, everybody's going to be fighting for their own. I mean, even these guys aren't teammates, but even if they were at the end of it, and when that finish line comes, when that last lap and last corner comes, nobody's thinking about the team at this. So especially in racing, when it gets, they're going at it all they can. Meanwhile, 9 just very close to 48 there. Jeff Peppers probably having to get lapped there, which is going to be interesting to see that all those good guys at the top having pitted, as you said, they weren't together, and definitely that has went against them. All those guys pitting, just not coming out. And I think definitely that wreck with the Carnival 8 start slowing the process for maybe everybody around. It could be one of the reasons they didn't come out as a group as well.
Yeah, I tell you, you see it. It's just unfortunate the guys didn't come out as a group and hurt them just a little bit. That was smart, I think, on Ray's part right there. I always talk about when you get a run on a line right there in front of him, eventually he will try to go around that 48 machine there of Peppers, but ride behind him a little bit. Try to, get a little bit of draft and see, because if he would have went to the outside and not made that pass clear, that would open up the door for Hine and Cornette. And then Ray might have ended up falling back there to the third place spot, which I've always said this too, coming to the last lap, I would much rather be sitting in probably second, maybe third place than I had been the leader. The leader usually is that sitting duck out there, because you don't know what the guys behind you are going to do. You don't know who's going to work with them behind you. Unless you've got a teammate behind you, it's really, really tough being the leader coming around out of that turn 4, the last lap.
Yeah, it really is. It's almost like you don't want to be the one up ahead. It's almost like trying to face some kind of a punishment up ahead, really, being the top one. So it's like I don't want to be facing it. So it's kind of like that, the finish line versus all these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You see Ray right now is doing a fantastic job of draft management here with the machine in front of him, saving a little bit, but drafted too. You also see Hine and Cornette, though, back there, not pushing envelopes. I mean, that's one thing Ray's going to have to look at. If they start trying to form up, maybe those two get up there nose to tail and say, we're going to try to take that outside, maybe see if we can't get him stuck behind that lap machine. That would hurt him a little bit. So Ray's got to be looking in his front view mirror, and he's got to be looking in his rear view mirror to see what Hines and company's doing back here.
Yeah, sure. And now with just 8 laps remaining, which is going to become at 7 now in moment time, but this is really close now, and I think now it is the time. It is the time of the race that we've been all waiting for in this final stage. That we haven't seen much racing. It's all been calmness, just the coolness by all these drivers. But this could be very, very soon that we see any of the top 3-4 drivers pushing up to that outside line. It's seen for a moment the driver in second place just hanging around there, Stephen, for a moment, going left or right. Or in fact, it is not Stephen, it is Ray in first place, it shows, but it is here and there, just they're doing their role. Meanwhile, that 48 car, of course, being lapped, still hanging around these guys, not getting out of the way really, but sure, they don't even want to get ahead of him at this moment. Just stay there and try and help, not him, but them as well, to stay behind him, which probably would be the reason they don't want to be the one in first place. And with just now 6 laps remaining, it is coming to an end. It is coming to the end of this race. Lap after lap, we're getting closer and closer to the end, and the time to see and get to know that who's going to be coming out on top and being the winner here at Daytona is coming near and near.
You know, I noticed what you see right there too. You seen Hines actually back up just a little bit to Cornette, and that's in a strategy you see a lot of times in real racing. You see Cornette kind of holding off a little bit from that pack. He's not putting his nose up there. He's hoping maybe if Hines backs up to him, those two can get a run on the 9 machine and overtake him, and then those two go for the win there. We've seen that a strategy play out. That's very smart draft racing in real life too, so keep an eye on that. Cornette, the way he's keeping that gap between him and the second place machine there of Hine, and we'll see if Hine actually backs up to him and those two guys maybe try to get a run. You saw a little bit of earlier, but they didn't go on the outside, so something to keep back there. It's 5 to go here at Daytona.
Yeah, it really does, and I think maybe something similar we have seen earlier from Chris Ray watching him race, and I think that surely shows the smartness, the decision-making, and definitely thinking of this man. We'll only get to know what happens, though, when we are at the end. Only 4 to go now, not much remaining, and this soon is lap after lap. The pressure mounts at the drivers at the top, and Don and Ray at this moment would be thinking that what he needs to do to try and defend. I think Chris at this moment, probably the best chance for him would be to try and be aggressive as he can as soon as probably on those final few laps or even final few corners that you want to be being the aggressive one, and in the end just end up being the first one to cross that line and be victorious. It's going to be very, very close. Still staying single file, nothing more than that so far.
3 to go as they cross the line this time by. You don't want to go too late. You don't want to go too early. We talked about it earlier. When do you make your move? On a plate track, it's a whole different ball game. By now, on a 1.5 mile, you're definitely wanting to make your move way sooner than this. But here at this place, it's so huge, and you've got to set it up just right. Now you see Cornette's got help from the 8 machine, the lap machine back there. Does it help him out? But does he have enough momentum? Does the 2 car there of Stephen Hines, does he jump to the outside? Do they overtake Ray? Does Ray eventually say, okay, lap machine, you've helped me so far. You've got to get out of the way. These guys are going to overtake me. If I get trapped behind you, I'm a sit and duck. Here we go. 2 to go, Zabby. It's going to be interesting.
Very, very close, and now I think this is all or nothing. This is where it all comes down to the end of the race. Meanwhile, Ray still staying close to that lapped car, and I think one more lapped car getting out of the way, trying to stay high there to stay away from these guys, and I think now this is where it all comes down to this. Sure, this is the order at the moment. It definitely won't be to when it comes to the finish line there for all these drivers. It's very, very close now. It's just now 2 corners to go for these guys when it is the end of this race, when it is the checkered flag and all of the hard work and the thinking and anything they have to do the whole race is going to be it, and going to be coming to the end for this few moments and everything they have to do. And I think any decision they're going to make here, they have to stick to it, and they need to know, they need to be sure that this is what it is going to be. Meanwhile, it is now the final lap, and it is white flag, not going to be only few corners away. This is the final lap. This is very close. Meanwhile, the number 2 goes around the outside of him. He gets ahead of Ray there. Chris sends it there as well. And this is going to be interesting to see who takes the finish line first. And it is going to be still far away from the finish line for these guys. And Chris is now going to send it to the outside or the inside line. He's still staying very, very close there, though. But is it going to be very interesting to get to see who's going to be the smarter one here? It's still staying very close, though. Number 2 staying ahead of everybody for the time being. And he still stays ahead of everyone so far, and he's kept it there. But meanwhile, are we going to see even Ray or Chris coming out ahead or anybody at the forefront? And that is still going to be and gone. Number 2 so far, that is checkered flag, and he's going to be coming out on top and ahead of everyone and take victory. Stephen, it is going to be here at Daytona in the Cup Series.
Yes, it was. What a finish there. Stephen Hines made the move at the right time he needed to and got around the man up there. Donald Ray took the win. Chris Cornette comes home in second. Donald Ray in third. What a finish here tonight. It's been a thriller here so far for Daytona under the lights. We'll get these guys up here and get a word with them for us. But, man, I tell you what, Zabby, that right there, Typical plate style racing. Guys, man, just to the end, you just never know what's going to happen.
Definitely fantastic. I mean, what an end to the week. 3 different series, and I have to say, this was best of them all so far.
Yeah, plate track racing, it always brings out, man, some just thriller style race. You just never know. I mean, there's one thing we did know: they had to pit, they had to make that pit stop at the right time. And hey, they did. They were able to get out there and make it. That man right there, Stephen Hines, was able to get the pit stop. Well, let's bring up old Chris Cornett. Let you get a word with him. Chris is here.
And Chris, man, very, very close this time again. We saw you coming out victorious in the trucks here. They were surely very close all the way for you to the end. But in the end, it was Steven taking first place. Any moment you thought you could be getting ahead, maybe tried going for it, but just still staying behind to not really ruin your second place?
No, yeah, I was going to push him. Once I saw him make the move, I was just going to push him past him and try to make it just between us two, and then come off 4, make my move there. But the 48 had other plans of side drafting me and slowing that momentum down, so there was no way I could make that move to go for the win. But good solid race, P2. Something for my buddy Dustin, and try to get a win for him, but just P2, I guess we'll take it.
Awesome. And I think any words on that incident earlier where you had with Corey Denson, the number 19 there? You were behind him, and I think it kind of came unexpectedly, or with the way you were going, you think something could have been better to avoid that?
I was trying, it was for the stage win, and I was trying to get as much points as I could, and I felt like I was there, and he just kept coming up, and it just turned him. So I wasn't planning on wrecking anybody. I'm sorry for him and everybody that got involved with it. But I was just trying to make that move, and he just kept coming up, and I think the corner of my nose caught him wrong in the right rear quarter panel, and it just turned him off the wall. I hate that happened, but like I said, I was just trying to go for as many stage points as I could.
Fantastic. And anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
Thanks BMRL for letting me come in and do this tonight. For everybody else to talk to. Baby. So congrats on him, and like I said, just trying to get him another win, trying to go for me another win too, trying to make it 2 out of 3 this week. But all in all, thank you to Chris Mayo putting on this league, BMRL. Thank y'all for broadcasting. Y'all doing a fantastic job. That's about it.
Thank you so much. It was great to have you here. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris Cornett, your second place finisher here tonight.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, and he did an outstanding job winning stage number 2, almost got stage 1. Well, this guy here, though, he was behind him, had it there at the end, just got overtook. Donald Ray, let's bring him up. Let's get a word with him.
Hey, how you doing, lad?
Hey.
Could you hear us? To the end, you were leading the pack, the 3-car pack, taking a little bit of help from that 48 to stay together and probably bumper it up. But in the end, just didn't come out your way, you'd say, or happy with the result with P3? Or you could have won in the end?
It could be worse, man. It could have, I could have got caught up in one of them accidents early on. Was able to keep it clean. I decided I was just going to stay behind Jeff there, and I knew Steven was going to jump out to the outside. I figured if I stayed on Jeff's bumper, though, I'd be able to stay ahead of him, beat him to the line. But he did a good job. As soon as he got outside, got on my right rear, and it just drug me back. And there's nothing really I could do at that point. I did try and stay on Jeff's bumper all the way through the corner, and started to pick up a little bit of the gap there, but it just wasn't enough. But P3's nothing to be upset about.
Fantastic. And in your minds as a driver in that car, for the viewers, if you could tell us that when is the time, especially on a track like this, you think that this is the time that we all are going to go for that move, or are going to go for that commitment, which we want to be finishing up? You know, all these drivers, we saw just those last, probably just the final lap where we saw position switching, but is that always the final lap to go for it, or anytime soon here and there, considering the race situation, that could be seen as well?
Well, I think it depends on if you have any teammates or not, and I'm a single car team here, so I didn't have anybody that I felt confident would go with me. Otherwise, I would have went there, and you know, and also there was only 3 of us that were on the lead lap in that 4-car pack, so it really wasn't any need for me to jump outside, you know, believing that maybe the 2 behind me would just stay on the bottom with Jeff there, and I'd have finished just outside the podium if I'd have done that, and that would have happened. So, but if you got teammates, I mean, you definitely want to not go too early, but also not go too late. But it all depends on how many cars you have behind you. I mean, if there was 3 on the inside and only 2 on the outside, you wouldn't stand a chance anyway. So I was just pretty much committed to finishing 3rd there, if that was the case. And it just depends on teammates, man. That's all.
Fantastic. That definitely answers what we were looking for. And anybody you want to shout out before we let you go?
Man, just everybody here. You know, run 130 laps at Daytona, and I think we had 1 caution. That's a pretty good deal. I know we didn't have a whole lot of cars in the pack 15, but still, 1 caution's nothing to be upset about.
There you go. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Don Ray, for 3rd place here at Daytona tonight.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Absolutely. There you go, man. So like I said, Don, man, doing what he had to do tonight. Well, this guy, though, they said he made his move at the right time. Let's bring him up here. Let's get a word with him, old Stephen Hine.
And Stephen, it is our race winner.
What's up, man?
What's up? And first of all, congratulations for you here on the victory tonight.
Yeah, appreciate it.
We saw you fighting here and there for victories, maybe in that final stage, a lot of fuel management and everything going on. But towards the end, when those last pit stops happened, the 3rd pack happened, and then of course, when was the time you thought that it could be your time? Of course, 3 drivers in the pack, very close, anything could happen to the end. But when was the time or moment that you thought that this is it, and you've got this one now?
Yeah, I mean, it was a quick decision on the backstretch coming out of 2. I had to run, and I was working with 33 behind me, so we decided on the backstretch to pull the trigger and go. And he was kind of blocked behind Jeff, 48 truck or car, so it worked out for us. Kind of pulled him back a little bit.
Fantastic. And how much bigger of a confidence booster this is for you to start this Cup Series with a victory?
Oh yeah, best way to start it. Yeah, no, it was really good. It was a long race though, so. But yeah, it's a good way to start. Starting off with a win. Hopefully we can carry that into the playoffs.
Fantastic. And I think especially what does it go in the minds of a driver that's in the car, especially the incidents we saw in those first stages, that trying to stay away from those are probably thinking in a way that if something happens at right now, I need to stay away, or it's just kind of luck, sometimes luck as well, that if you're there in the moment, you get caught up. If you're not, you don't.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's luck. Yeah, especially around a bigger pack like that. You see smoke and you just pray. Just try to avoid the best way you can. But yeah, luckily I didn't get caught up in any of that, so far enough back to where I had a little time to prepare and go low.
Awesome. Great having a talk with you. Any shout outs before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to my parents that are watching tonight and my wife. Shout out to them. Good way to start the season with the dub. I'm glad you got to see me get a win. And shout out to the broadcast. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Stephen, your winner of the night.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, Zabby, what a night it was there. Congratulations again to Stephen Hine and all the drivers out here tonight, bringing it all the action here at Daytona. I mean, it was nail biting, even through the stages, all the way to the end. We had a little bit of pit strategy there involved. Some guys had some good nights, some not so much. Man, they would probably like to go back and restart and put the rewind button on it. But all in all, very, very good race here at Daytona.
It surely was. And apart from those drivers, let me tell you who had a great night. It was definitely everyone watching would have had a treat to watch. This was a fantastic one, and us as well. I'm sure you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and everybody watching as well did.
Absolutely. Well, folks, I tell you what, I hope everybody, man, from this point on has a good Thanksgiving and a good holiday there. But for myself here with Zabby here tonight for the BMRL League, it was a good one at Daytona. We're going to leave here under the lights. And everyone, have a good night.